What's up, everybody? Welcome to Solana Weekly. This is your host, Thomas, and I want to thank you for joining in. Let's take a dive into the latest trends, use cases, and people behind the incredible growth of the Solana ecosystem. None of this is financial advice, but I'm hoping that all of this is alpha. Now let's get to the show. I'm very excited to introduce Jorge today. He's going to show us all about the latest that's going on in the gaming side of Solana. So welcome to the show, Jorge. How you doing?
Oh man, Thomas, I'm excited. Excited to deep dive into what's happening in Web3 gaming, but on Solana, right? Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe we're even being able to say that in one sentence. Solana and Web3 gaming. I mean, this is something that I think everybody right now has been a long time coming. And well, guess what? We're here, Thomas. We're gonna give the alpha to anybody that wants to listen and tell us more. And we're gonna crank it out.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. And it's breaking news today, right? Because things are going live today. Is that right?
It's so breaking news that I have to be careful with what I'm saying depending on how fast this gets out. I actually, it's funny you say that. I was on a space like last week and I kind of leaked alpha and I was like, oh, you know what? There's only like 15 listeners. This can't be bad. Next thing you know, it went live on a PR article, and next thing you know, I had DMs from like everybody within the company of like saying, did you just leak the alpha to the Game Pass? And I was like, bro, there was like 15 people though. And they're like, yeah, well, one of them was the publishers. I was like, oh my God. So I'll be careful with what I say today, but let's do it.
Yeah, the degens are relentless, right? If they hear a little bit of alpha, it gets passed between everyone real quick.
I gotta be careful. I gotta keep me on my toes.
Yeah, sounds good. So we were talking a little bit before this started, and one of the reasons why I'm very excited to talk to you is because I haven't seen like the promise of gaming really come to light on Solana yet, right? Like I know early on there was a bunch of teams raising a bunch of money trying to put together something, and it's really hard to do, right? Like it is not an easy feat to tackle. So would you want to kind of just explain, what you're doing, what the business is, what the game is, and just kind of tell us the whole thing from a high level?
No. So I think this is great to hear, and like once again. So again, Solana and gaming and marketing, all three words that we're kind of like trying to figure out how that marriage looks like, right?
Yeah.
And so, for the past couple years, a lot of great builders have been building on Solana. There's some really, really cool games on Solana, from AAA to indie to mobile. We've seen it all that's happening on Solana, right? And so these games, again, take time to build, right? Good games take years to build. And I think I'll give you a reference point, right? Grand Theft Auto 6 took 5 to 6 years to build. Call of Duty 5 or 6 years or more to build. These massive game titles take years to build, right? Same thing in our space. Good games take a long time to build. You have Star Atlas, Decimated, Nyan Heroes, MIXMOB, Honeyland, Aurory. I mean, the list goes on of games that are building on Solana that are finally now being able to showcase and be able to show more to the world, rather than a white paper, rather than the spaces where the founder hops on and talks about a vision, or some sort of pitch deck with really cool cinematic trailers, right? And so it's evolved, right? We're getting to that stage where the light at the end of the tunnel is finally almost here. And so for us at Solana, it was, okay, these games are finally being able to get into players' hands. How do we help with visibility? How do we help with helping awareness within the ecosystem, awareness with other gamers, and awareness within the actual gaming culture and community that's being built currently? And so Gaming on Solana is a Twitter account right now that is part of the Solana Foundation, part of Solana, of course, that is very heavily right now looking to ways to get as much content out there, bring on founders and gamers to talk about what they're playing, and of course, probably the most coveted information or alpha here, right, is the Game Pass. The Game Pass that everybody is looking to unveil or learn more about. And that is a Game Pass that allows gamers to experience the ecosystem on Solana, experience what these games are going to offer, and also be rewarded for it as well. So just like a Game Pass that Microsoft or Xbox has, Sony, all these guys, all the big Web 2s have them, right? We're very much using that same language that a gamer in Web 2 would understand in Web 3, and not try to, do what we do in Web 3 and talk NFTs, blockchain, crypto, the words that stumble many people of, I don't know if I want to enter Web 3 gaming yet. And so, yeah, man, really excited of all this finally coming to light.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect strategy to do it, or to at least like on how to approach this, because historically gamers have been pretty like hesitant to do anything with blockchain or NFTs, like almost like pretty far against it, right? Like they're outspoken about how they don't want that, and in my mind, that never made sense, right? Like the idea of having NFTs or tradables or making money while you're actually playing these games was always like, hey, that makes sense logically to me. Like, why don't they want to make money while they're gaming? But it's just a different culture, and it was almost like being pushed at them in the early days, where I assume we're probably pretty far from the original backlash. Or how have you guys been seeing that?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think, look, first of all, understand the evolution of Web3 gaming, right? From the play to earn mechanics and the Ponzi schemes and whatnot, the casino type things that were kind of existed. Again, you just said it. You didn't understand gaming and Web3 gaming a bit, right? And that's because you probably have always played games for just the game itself and the experience that it gives you, the escape that it gives you, the multiplayer of playing with your friends, and that immersive experience it has. But it was never, hey, Thomas, let's go play a game because I want to make $100 today. It was never, hey, I'm gonna go play this game because I have to make 1,000 from it because I could grind 10 levels in the next 2 hours, and that was never it, because that changes the type of a gaming experience. You're there for a financial reason, and as soon as that financial incentive is gone, you no longer want to play that, and you're gonna want to go play something else that has a financial incentive. And so that is not so much a attractive to a gamer that's gamer at heart. They're looking to, hey man, let me play a game that's fun. Let me enjoy myself. Let me get the dopamine, the euphoric, the euphoria that you build from playing a game. But how does that happen? These games have to have this experience, right? And that's where we're finally at that level, because for many years we haven't been able to have this yet, because it took them time to build. But now that also, as we introduce this, we're also introducing this back to the people that actually want a game and don't care about, hey man, cool, I gained $100. Did you know that there's a marketplace that $100 is actually on an exchange that has a value that you could actually cash out 100. But if you don't care, maybe you want to dump it back into an asset or whatever. So they're finally getting to a point where it's helping the gamer also be educated to what Web3 gaming is.
Yeah. And when you say that a lot of the time that's gone into a lot of this, when you were mentioning those games before, like Star Atlas and Aurory, like those were NFTs in like 2022, right? Like they have been around for a very long time building. So it's good to see that a lot's coming out of that. And the approach that you guys are putting on top of that's definitely very exciting. And
I think
something else and sorry, maybe this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but like there's also there's the the blockchain side of like NFTs and things like that, but there's like internal marketplaces on a lot of these games too, right? Like I feel like there's like Counter-Strike skins that people pay a ton of money for. So like the financialization of a lot of this is already there, right? It was just like almost like a hesitancy with like the terms and like the Ponzi side of the crypto, right? Like is that what got in the way a lot, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, first off, like this idea of play to earn, play to win, and assets and skins exists already, right? Like that's one thing that people don't get, right? Sometimes they're like, "Oh, this is a new concept." No, it's not a new concept at all, right?
Yeah.
All we're putting to marketplaces is an actual payment rail with a transparency of knowing whether that asset that Thomas you might own and you're selling to me is actually real and verifiable, that I could say I'm willing to spend $100 on and actually trade it with you or buy it from you, right? Because that does not exist currently. There's a black market for it, right? And it's funny, like you talk to kids like 18 years old, 15 years old that are like, hey, I'm trading on the black market right now for a skin, and it's like, man, like think about that, man. Like I'm like, man, the kid shouldn't have to go through that,
Yeah.
right? Like there should be a better way to for them to trade and know, and even them like interacting with people that they should want to like interact that are real, not like some sort of scam, right? And so I think like all these marketplaces that exist within gaming already have always existed. But what crypto is doing is, or blockchain is doing, or Web3 gaming, however you want to call it, is doing is allowing it to be a better way to trade, a safer way to trade, and a better way to own assets, right?
Yeah.
And that's just another great aspect of it. I think like I'll say this: technology has always been at the forefront of gaming. If you look at back 30, 40 years, technology is always why gaming has evolved or experienced. And people don't realize that. People will say, oh, well, Jorge, what do you mean? I mean, if you're old enough to know back in the day from the Game Boy days that we had to
Oh yeah.
plug in a headphone jack to another Game Boy to trade with somebody else, to, hey, maybe I have to upgrade my TV at home from a tube TV to a 4K flat screen TV because the graphic settings on the game are at a higher quality. The technology there has always been why we're getting a better gaming experience, right?
Yeah.
So technology here is once again giving you a better experience. Now, what's the issue? Technology is not sexy. Technology is something that you don't want to talk about with others, right? And so
Yeah.
again, the marketplace and being able to tell gamers to actually just experience it and do it on their own, and then coming back and saying, just so you know, what you just interacted, the transaction that you just happened was on Solana. It was so fast because it's this blockchain that powers your, transaction speeds and also gives you real time, conversion of what the dollar to that Solana coin was or whatever that is, right? And being able then to go and exchange that onto or transfer that to your own bank account, however that looks. So technology once again is giving people that ability to have a better experience in the game, but is it something that we want to like throw down somebody's or put in somebody's face, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think you touched on something really important there, right? So, gaming has been like pushing technology, but it's not pushing technology for technology's sake, right? Like they wanted like better games, they wanted faster games, so they wanted, more like 3D, more like better graphics. So they pushed like graphic cards to go farther and farther, right? Like this is almost like an extension of that, where if you focus on what you're able to do, not like, hey, look at this awesome blockchain that you're using to do all this. It's like, hey, you don't have to go into a black market. Like what you're doing isn't illegal. You can trade in-game assets, right? Like here is a fantastic marketplace to do that. It's trustless. You can, 100% custody it yourself. You can see it. You can look at what the other person has to confirm they have it, right? Like there's a lot more security and a lot more things that they're able to do that Solana can unlock for them, right? And I think that the focus on that is going to be what really brings it to the next level.
Yeah, and I think you just have to speak the right language as well,
Yeah,
right? Like I
yeah,
think like people, when let's use eBay, right? Everybody knows what eBay is, right? Great.
yeah,
Let's understand what you're doing on eBay, right? You're basically buying or trading to an unknown, right? And
yeah,
what if blockchain was able to tell you, hey, that Beanie Baby, because Beanie Babies were big, right? And that was a great way to also tell people and have them correlate to what blockchain is going to do, is going
yeah,
to tell you whether that Beanie Baby was real, that you
yeah,
are buying on eBay, and now that you're trading what's or whatnot. Now think about that in gaming. That
yeah,
that skin that you want to buy is not some AI generated on ChatGPT that looks alike it, and next thing you know, you're buying it and it's fake, or it's a copy
yeah,
paste from what a link that just somebody uploaded to. And so that's just again trying to make sure that we are using the right language and making sure that the audience that we're speaking to is also native to that language that we are going to speak to.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny, a lot of those, a lot of what you just brought up too is like, you can verify, what the asset is, like when it was created, when it was last traded, you can verify what money they have, verify the money that you have, and like all of that is like the core of like what crypto does, right? Like we've been doing that for a very long time. We've made trading, very easy and like a very good systems for it, right? So to be able to bring it into other arenas, I think is huge, and I think they could benefit a lot from it.
Yeah, and just to add, like, you and I are here talking about it almost, let's just say from an American standpoint, right? Like in the sense that trading here in the U.S. But what does crypto even allow you to do? It allows you to go outside of the U.S. It
Oh
allows
yeah.
you to go worldwide and trade with somebody in China, in England, in South America, wherever they are, and use a payment rail that again allows them to be able to trade instantly, right? And be able
Yeah.
to buy instantly rather than, hey, send this to my bank and then that's going to go to intermediate bank that's going to take $15 from you. And then by the time it gets to you, by the time the market exchange for your, dollar to peso or whatever it is now is worth, $3. And guess what? By the time you got it, the $100 sale that you thought you made is now only $50, right? And it's like, and it took you 30 days to even receive the money. And so, oh my God, now we've opened up the walls that we've been living in, the walls that have existed, and we've been living on this internet, that the internet has been giving us the ability to connect with people worldwide. And I think we've always gone and said, the internet went through its own phases, right? Read, write, and now it's payments. And yeah, man, I think it is. And how does that affect gaming? How does that turn all into gaming? And wow, well, guess what? Gamers are playing the same games worldwide, but they haven't been able to interact or exchange or be able to have something that gives them that ability. And that's what blockchain gives you that ability to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. One thing that I'm always like super surprised by is how global the Solana community actually is, right? Like I always have trouble scheduling interviews on this podcast because it's like someone in Singapore, it's completely opposite time zones, right? But this is who we're dealing with, right? When you have a system that's global and there are no restrictions, right? So it really does open up, to the whole world where you're not just focusing on one small market, right?
Yeah, I think that's it, right? Is when you want mass adoption, people keep talking about it, right? Like when is mass adoption? When is retail coming in? Well, guess what? Like it's coming, but we have to also be able to know what we're going to be able to push to the mass adoption that they'll understand of what this is all about. So we're getting there. I mean, look, hey, I think if you look at Solana and like the success even the past couple of days of I don't know if you saw, like I think it was yesterday or today, I reposted or retweeted it about the rev that this is one of the highest daily in rev as a company has made, as a chain has made. And it just speaks volumes to how many products actually exist on Solana and
Yeah.
how much users there are. But man, like if that's just like here yet only in Web3, imagine when this goes broader, right? When this goes more mainstream, man, like talk about, we always say we're early in Web3. Well, yeah, we're early, but man, that door is going to be getting knocked on very soon of other users trying to come in.
Yeah, that was kind of a mind-blowing stat because when you think about like all the other things that have gone on, in different time zone or times of Solana, right? There's like NFT bull markets, there's meme coin insanity. It's like right now isn't an insane time. I like if there was like a big meta to talk about, I wouldn't know necessarily what it is right now, right? Like we just came down off of the big meme coin rallies, like some meme coins are coming back, I guess, but it's almost just like there's just so much different angles that are like running right now, right? Like you have, I don't know, like millions of users signing up on Helium. You have like all these different businesses where it's like they're just constantly using the network of Solana, right?
Yeah, and look, I think again, we say Web3 gaming has taken years to build, but no, man, I think it's a lot of other products on Solana that have taken
Yep.
time to build, right? The
Yep.
cleaner UX and UIs, right? I mean, do you remember the days of connecting a wallet and having to bridge to like connect to the website to sign the transaction, then
Oh
to
yeah.
go back and try to verify the NFT? And it's like, man, like, do you know where we're at? Hey, Google sign in now, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
rapidly, also getting easier. So things have taken time to build, and now it's cleaner and easier to use. So yeah, again, we're finally knocking on that door of the products are finally getting to past 90% completion of development cycles, and I think like there's more for people to understand of saying, oh, I get that. Oh, I understand it because I'm sure at home or you've gone to Thanksgiving dinner and you're like trying to tell people what you do for a living and what blockchain is. And it's like, people with deer in the headlights looking at you of like, yeah, can you show me? And you're like, oh, well, I really can't show you just yet, but give me a couple of years. So like that, we're getting to that stage of, oh, like, did you actually want to see what it was that we were doing? Here it is.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was over the holidays, and it was the Pudgy Penguins airdrop. I just like kept finding like different airdrops and different wallets, and I just I had to talk about it, right? And I mean it makes sense now. It's not like as foreign of a subject as everyone. I mean, we had the president of the United States launch a meme coin, and then another one under his wife's name, right? Like everybody knows what it is, for better or worse on that one, but it's like pretty well known, right? Like it's in people's mind. It's not as foreign as it used to be, I think.
Yeah, and I think you bring up the president of the United States, right? And I don't know, you saw his tweet 2 days ago or yesterday, right?
Which
He wants to
one?
build, yeah, he's going to build a crypto game,
Oh
and
yes,
so
yeah, I did see that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So, it's funny, like, you have people and leaders and political leaders and now speaking about crypto in general, but also now about gaming. And so, like I said, things are getting knocked on the door that
yeah,
we are getting closer to people actually understanding what it is. And I think like, before earlier you were mentioning about like the meme coins and all that stuff. Like, yeah, man, the casino business is one of the most profitable businesses in the United States, right? Or
oh
even
yeah,
around the world. And the casino business is really not much different than the meme coins, right?
yeah,
In a way. But what I tell you is like technology is what changed the casino business, right? I mean, if you look at like old school of playing the lotto and going to a convenience store and with a pencil, a number two pencil, you had to fill in these like sheets. I don't know if I'm dating myself too much. Maybe I am, but I remember going with my father to the convenience store for him to fill out these lotto of like him paying $1 for a lotto. And then the
yeah,
casino business had this ability now to all of a sudden, fast forward that. Then it became easier when cell phones came and apps and now and everything. Now you have meme coins. Like it's
yeah,
again like just that business is evolving itself. And so there's just sometimes a like talk to me in terms that I understand more, and then people are like, oh yeah, Jorge, I get it. I know what you're saying.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, when you look at the casino, that was like a great analogy because when you think of it, I mean, casinos are fantastic businesses, right? Like I told you, I'm going to Vegas this weekend, and I mean, think about all the money that goes into putting those slot machines in their lobby, right? They got to build the hotel, they got to build the pool, they got to do all that. Where it's like, actually, like maybe you don't need to do all that. Maybe you just need to launch a meme coin, and that a lot of times we saw a lot of those meme coins go to zero. But if you didn't hold it to zero, you probably had better odds of making money on these meme coins than you did in a lot of those slot machines, right? Or especially even like the
Hey,
lotto. Like, what are the odds that you win the lotto, right? It's like one in multiple millions, right?
I think like when you look at these businesses, it's all about the rush to possibly win, right? But what do meme coins give you is they gave you the ability to go beyond that because there's a predictability factor now that there's a chart that you could actually try to even, hey, if I know how to trade a meme coin, this chart looks good. Hey, let
Yeah,
me go 10x or into it. But it's still just again the basis of what it is. It's
yeah,
just that there's an added element to possibly winning more because you feel smarter or
yeah.
you feel better than the market and you think that you're gonna outsmart it.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same mentality. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's hilarious. So one concept that I keep bringing up to multiple guests is like my theory of like how Solana is going to go and like the future is the on-chain super cycle, right? Like people used to bring up the super cycle where it's like, all right, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million and then it's going to go to 10 million. It's never going to stop. It's a super cycle where it's like, the prices are going to go up and down. But what I think is going to happen is people are just going to be using blockchains more and more without even knowing it, right? Like you look at different transactions, what you can do, better savings account, lending, all that. Now, like gaming is going to be on chain as well, where it's like, I just think that all of these are, we're seeing like the amount of transactions per second rise, the amount of people using the blockchain. Like my transactions last year was like over 50,000 that I had to just do taxes on, right? So I think that that's only going to go exponentially up too. So I think that that's going to be what we're going to see in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that there's two things you said there that like, trigger words, right? And it's taxes, right? Taxes is a
Yeah.
trigger word for all of us because I don't think anybody still understands how to do the taxes,
No.
let alone the IRS, right? Because
Yeah.
they don't even know how they're going to tax you on certain things, and it's always like, hey, you figure it out, and then we'll tell you whether it's right or wrong. But we can't tell you whether you're right or wrong from the get go. So I think, yeah, man, I think it's that whole evolution of taxes hasn't evolved, and regulation and everything that very much is getting talked about in Web3. Like, is it coming, right? I think we saw yesterday with Base and all that like nonsense that happened as a reputable company like that. And I think like regulation is very much needed in Web3. I come from one of the most heavily regulated companies that I worked at, where like I couldn't even tweet something without like the legal team making sure that like, hey, that's good to tweet. And it's like,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is good morning. And it's like, yeah, you're saying good. You're saying it's going to be a good morning. And like people might think it's bullish. And I'm like, good morning? And I'm like, okay, like what if I say bad morning? And it's like, that might be bearish. They might think that you're like going to sell. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tweet anything, right? To people now just saying, hey, this is a token, go buy it. Like
Oh, yeah.
financial advice just given. And so, yeah, I mean, I think like evolution of all of that needs to happen for all of us to be able to succeed, because, we need to figure out what good and bad actors are and what is ethically being able to be said as well. And I think like, if we ever want to compete with the big boys or, the big companies, the Fortune 500s and everything, you have to abide by the rules just like they do, or else they're not going to accept you.
Yeah, yeah. I hope that a lot of the taxes get solved with like better programs. Like I've used Awaken Tax for a lot of it. Like that's getting pretty close to where you can kind of just run everything through. And especially if you're, going to be gaming, right? Like, I would imagine that if you're using these black markets to sell Counter-Strike skins, you're probably not paying taxes on those. Where it's like it's actually probably easier to pay taxes if you're using Solana for it, right? Where like that's part of it, but also like the tax regulations need to be crystal clear, because 50,000 transactions in a year, like pick any one of those and it's like did I review them, each one of them? No, it's like it's hard to read the blockchain on a lot of these. So I think that's something that they need to do, but also like on the regulation front, they need to make it crystal clear, like what you can and can't say. Because I mean, President Trump tweeted the other day, now is a good time to buy, and then he lowered the tariffs like an hour later. Like that's like, I mean, if he's doing that, then it's like whatever you tweet is fine, right? I don't know, everybody's got to have.
What's that thing? Crime season is alive.
Yeah. You should do crime. I guess it's the time for crime. But I mean, that's kind of where crypto's always been in the gray area, where it's like now the promise is like we're supposed to have, we've got a crypto czar, crypto's legal, all the SEC's lawsuits against Solana and like all like pretty much Coinbase, all the other like big lawsuits have pretty much been dropped, right? Like I'm sure there's still some more that are going on, but like as far as like regulation goes, like this has been the best few months for regulation we've ever seen, with just like disastrous price action. But I mean, in the long run though, I think all of those regulations are going to be like incredibly huge for companies that are building in the space, right? To know that you're not in the gray area is great. They just need to kind of finalize that and say like, hey, like you do have to pay taxes, you do have to pay this much. Like it's because it's not gray area right now, but like what you mentioned, it's like, hey, figure this out, try to get it right, and we'll see if you got it right. But they don't even know. Like they're not tracking Solana transactions. Like my theory on that is like they can't do it right now, but they're going to be able to do it in the next year or two. And it's like if we get the tools to where if it's AI, if it's running it through a program, it's like, guess what? The IRS is going to have those same programs as well, and they'll be able to track your wallets too. So like there's no point in hiding from the taxes. Just doing your best is going to do it, or is going to at least get you a long way, right?
Hiding from Uncle Sam is the last person you ever want to hide from, because Uncle Sam always knows, right? And so
Yeah.
I think it's without like saying this is financial advice or NFA, right? Make a disclosure here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there is a lot of leeway right now with what we're doing, right? And so that does give us a little bit of a wiggle room to have a little bit of unknown in the way that we're reporting or doing things, right? Because it is hard to say, okay, if there was a great mention of the market and the way how volatility works, it sometimes it is hard to understand that why I sold a transaction and why I lost or I gained, right? It's like things that are just a little bit tougher on a tax purpose to be able to say, oh yeah, I sold 10% of this and gained 90%, but sold the rest at a negative loss, and it's
Yeah.
like overall the trade was a fail, and it's like how do you record 3 transactions that happened within like 30 minutes, and it's like getting that software is very much needed to help because yeah, if you want to sit and do all your MetaMask transactions or Phantom transactions, man, like
Oh, good luck.
you better kiss like 3 months of your life trying to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's only going to happen more. Like, I think 2 years ago I had 15 or 20,000 transactions, where it's like it more than doubled, and this year it's looking the same. Like it's going to keep going higher and higher. So, I can't be the only one, right? I think if you're in this space, I mean, it's just like there's so many different things to do, and with Solana being like so cheap, so fast, it's like the first blockchain where they've ever said, "Hey, come use the blockchain as much as possible." Whereas like Bitcoin was always like, you can use the network, but like don't use it too much or don't expect too much. And then Ethereum's kind of like, "Hey, we're busy now. It's a couple $100 for a transaction. Don't use us." Whereas Solana was always like, "Hey, this is super quick. This is great user experience. Use it as much as possible. Let's see what happens."
Yeah, I think that's a great way to explain the dinosaur age to the technology age of the evolution of these chains. And I
Yeah.
think like essentially, right, Solana also needs to figure out like, or not to figure out, but more of to like boast why everyone's choosing it, right? And
Yeah.
it's not just transaction speeds, right? Because that's just one part of it, right? I think it's the network effect that this could have. And I think people don't know that because I think like you have to have a little bit more of a mindset to understand that, to say, oh, okay, I get what you're actually talking about when you tell me, PayPal and USDC and like what that's going to happen and why there's an effect to it, and how that brings in, what the user is and who the user will want and why it's on chain, and explain to people all that. So I think like, man, we're definitely gaining there. I mean, look, gaming itself, right? Like we're understanding more of gamers now than ever before, right? Like we could literally see what they have in their wallets and how
Yeah.
much money they have in their wallets. These are things that like a Web2 game developer would freaking die for, right? Because
Yeah.
like, being able to see these on-chain metrics of what they're willing to spend and how they spend it, and the user behavior is the biggest thing here, right? The user behavior of their users is something that any company would die for, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what it is. Any company would die for user behavior. And so like we're going to be able to have that at our fingertips more because of what the technology is able to do with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that angle. Um, one part that I wanted to go into is how are a lot of these games like integrating with Solana? Is it, I know originally like the idea was like, hey, the whole game will be on chain. Like you make a move and that's a transaction, but it's like I don't think that's ever going to be the way. Like you don't want to use that like that. But like obviously like, like collectibles or achievements, that seems like a pretty straightforward way. But how else are you seeing that they're actually using the blockchain?
Yeah. Those are good points there itself, and they're very valid points, right? I mean, I think like the marketplace, the tokens, all that stuff that happens. I mean, that is just a given or a easy way to understand it. I do, the other thing is, there are fully on-chain games, right?
Yeah.
That are building, and fully on-chain games are having a lot of success right now,
Oh,
right?
are they really?
Yeah. Like fully on-chain games, like a DeFi Dungeon. I don't know if you checked that one out, but
I didn't.
I'll give you like a quick like TLDR. This team, DeFi Dungeons, about 2 weeks ago, did an open open kind of like ticket system where they were looking to raise $3 million, right?
Uh-huh.
They raised $130 million, right?
No,
And
no way.
yeah, they actually broke the Meteoro website. And so, then they had an 11,000 NFT collection this past week or 2 weeks ago,
I saw that.
sold
Yeah.
that out. And so, like, on-chain games are very much like full degen and like full, like have users and gamers that are really excited about that. And so, there are games that are on-chain, fully on-chain, and on-chain on an external browser type thing where the marketplace takes place. And so, I think it's just again, what's the experience that you want to give the gamer, right? And I think that's where on-chain or the on-chain usage makes sense. I think Star Atlas actually just posted, if I'm correct, it was this morning actually, that last month they made over 700,000 in sales or in revenue.
Oh,
And
really?
so, and then it's on-chain. So like, that's just like great. Like, man, like, I don't think many people get to see it, but many people actually don't understand how that even happened, right? And
Yeah.
so there are ways of, hey man, you have to fuel a ship like in real life, and maybe there's transaction there and you're making money, and the house is making money, right? Because you're fueling a ship, you're selling a ship, you're buying a ship. And so like things like, yeah, you start getting into like the nitty gritty of like how the revenue models work, and you start realizing that some of the stuff is all on chain, and it's needed to be on chain to make sure that it's being able to transact and interact and be readable and writable for those that are watching this. And so I think it's more of that game itself on what they want to do and what stage of life that game is. I think is also really important, because there are games that haven't really fully released economies yet, or are waiting to really fully release all their tokens, or are waiting to kind of fully release their collections,
Yeah.
because they need to figure out how many users they're going to have, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to go release 10,000 NFTs if I have 1,000 users.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go release 10,000 NFTs if I have 20,000 users, right? I'm trying to maximize revenue here, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure that it also visually looks attractive to people wanting to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, that sounds good. It's funny to probably I don't do that much gaming anymore, but like when I think of gaming, I think of like back when I was in college and it was like everyone was playing like I don't know, Counter-Strike or whatever other games they were playing, Halo, like that type of thing. And I never got into it. I always got into online poker because like I would, because like it was for money, right? Like it was like, all right, like this is way more fun. I'm not just gonna play. But now it's like you could kind of combine them both, and that there would probably be games where it's like, all right, I would play that now because like I can make money from it, right?
The true degen is coming out of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Started as
Yeah, no,
at a young age. No.
yeah, hey man, let me know when you're going to Vegas, because I could quickly book a trip too as well. Atlantic City was for me my Vegas, because I worked in the city, and it was only like an hour and a half drive. So it's like, hey, get me in and get me out. Good, I'll do it. So look, I think, yeah, look, it's to exactly to what you're saying though as well. Why a game and what was attractive from a game, and I think like the poker, right? Like on-chain to poker would be something that's different, right?
Yeah.
Can it be bad and good? Yes, there's good and bad to everything.
Yeah, and actually that leads to a good question. Why isn't there online poker in crypto yet? Like it seems like a no-brainer that there isn't one. Like I've been
I
waiting
think,
for it for like 10 years.
well, there is a couple games. I don't know that are specifically. They're not on Solana. There's a couple games in Web3 that are very much, but that is a very tough market to break into.
Is it?
That is a market also because of regulation. That also a very tricky market to get into, right? And I think that like it requires a little bit more work than your typical building a game and raising funds, because you actually need like legal counsel. And I think like I'll joke, right? Legal counsel. There's two positions in Web3 that we don't believe in: legal counsel and CFOs. Like just two positions that I don't know why Web3 like decides that they shouldn't exist, when probably are the two more the ones needed. And so
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah, that I think like, I think that just why we haven't seen any casino like style. I think we're seeing more photo finish. Like I don't know if you've heard of
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
They're into horse betting and everything, and like betting itself has a very strict regulation that needed for state by state, and so
Yeah.
like poker as well. Like it's one that has to follow suit, and again, like just haven't been able to break into it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a bummer because it seems like it'd be so easy to just put like a global, like we have Solana in the background, like you don't need to go through banking, you don't need to go through all that, but
Even
it's
KYC,
like,
right? Like KYC and all these things that you have to go through, right? Like,
yeah,
man, like there's gonna have to be a easier way to, verify oneself and
yeah,
verify that you are a user. And also just identity wise, right? Like how do we make sure that like our identities don't keep getting like hacked or scammed by like,
oh yeah,
the wherever we're putting it on, right? And like having that ability that blockchain gives you to verify you're a user, but yet be like an unknown in a game, great. Like we need
yeah,
that.
yeah, we definitely do. Yeah, my identity's been hacked so many times throughout the years where it's like I'm sure that my social security number is just like out there at this point. I mean, it's like every database, even like health databases. I think like a doctor's office that I went to a few years back got hacked and like all my information got released. It's like it's this doctor's
Our,
office.
dude, the credit bureaus. How many times do you get like emails from the credit bureau of like my social security?
Yeah,
How did social security break? How did someone break into social security?
yeah,
I don't know if you remember like that big like thing where social security got broken into and like the whole like internet was like, so whoever you are, can you break into my student loans and delete all our student loans? And it's like, yeah, like, you guys are breaking into everything else. Like break into the things that we care about.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so something that just made me think about. So you know how like the regulations for like casinos, they're pretty strict. It's like state by state, and like a lot of like the Indian reservations have like weird things where like they can have casinos on their property but not other places. Um, it's like what that ends up leading to is like casinos that aren't regulated and are willing to just completely operate in like that gray or black area, and they're the type of ones that they're going to do the shady things, like right, like I don't know what happened with Rollbit, but I think it's still around. But like for a while there, it was like questionable as to like whether you could actually withdraw money from there for a little while. And it's like it was just an open casino to everybody, and not to pull them out, but that's like an example that came to my mind of like, hey, there are casinos online, but it's so hard for them to come into compliance that they're not going to. That leads to a much worse experience for all of the users of that, right?
Yeah, I think that's just like it, right? Of like, at what point does this all become something that's just, I don't want to call it in the background, but just something that's like easily to talk about, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I Bluetooth. Yeah, great. I put my Bluetooth on. It's like, oh, put your earbuds on. It's like you don't really say, hey, turn your Bluetooth on and like let me connect my earbuds, right? Like, but like that correlation just there of like what the technology does. Like, great. How do you actually relate it to what we just mentioned of like how does it make it easier to have that ease of conversation,
Yeah.
and understand that. So, yeah, man, we're getting there.
Yeah.
The we are early is something people hate to talk about, but like, man, yeah, it does sting, but we are getting there.
Yeah, yeah. In that analogy, it's like us and the different crypto ecosystems are arguing over what's the better version of Bluetooth, right? Where it's like that the version doesn't matter. Just make it good enough to where people don't have to care.
Yeah, I mean, it's Wi-Fi, right? Right now we're on Wi-Fi 6 and like Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7, and it's like,
Yeah.
just connect me to the internet, right? And it's like, well, sir, do you want to like upgrade to the 1 gig plan? And I'm like sure. And then they're trying to tell you like, well, the reason you need 1 gig is because if you have 2 TVs and they're high 4K streaming, you are gonna want this. And I'm just like, yeah, sure. And it's like, just give it to me, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds good. All right. So if somebody wants to get into some gaming today, where do they go? What do they do? What do you recommend?
Yeah, gaming on Solana on Twitter right now is what's hot. Everybody's going and giving them a follow. Their Game Pass is going to be going announced. Actually, it's funny that this happened. So now I could actually finally tell you that the drop, the big PR announcement just went out. It is live. I'm actually getting notifications on my other screen right now. I'm hearing the ping, 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 ping like it's a casino. But it is live that the Game Pass is going to be minting live today on Magic Eden. It's going to go live at 3 p.m. EST. It's going to be open for 4 weeks. So for those that are listening to it and say, hey, maybe we got to this a little late or whatever, what's beautiful about the Game Pass is you may join week 1, you may join week 2, you may join week 4. You still are going to be able to complete and be part of the questing system that's available at no matter what stage of life you join. And so that is one thing we wanted to make sure it was open, it was transparent, everybody was going to have that ability. So for those that are on their Twitter, Gaming on Solana, go on Magic Eden, mint to pass, check out the games that are participating, check out the prize pools that are part of it. The prize pools are not only something that the games did, but the ecosystem partners, Soulflare, Gamer Boom, Beamable, Play Solana, man, like all these big names came in to fund the prize pool just to get involved. That is massive. So I think I want to make sure we really give them all their flowers. But one of the things that if anybody's ever listening and wanting to say why Solana, well, man, the culture and the community is untouched, untapped. There's nobody else like Solana. It's why I've been an OG or Maxi for quite so many years. It's because it always felt as home. And you look at a lot of new chains that are coming out. Look, I give them hats for doing what they're doing, but the community is what makes this even stronger. Having these conversations with like you, Thomas, and talking about our passion for Solana, but our passion for the products that are building on Solana without having to go through hey, get like how much is a paid content and all that stuff. That, man, is something that not gets talked about a lot because there is a lot of paid content on social media. And you could recognize the authenticity between these kind of conversations and hey, this is the script. I need to hit I need to hit these keynotes in this script because I'm paying $1,000 for the hour of the show. And so that is what makes this different, right? Yeah, sure, you could have paid sponsors and paid brands that support you. That's great. But that gives you the ability to have authentic conversations with people on why we're building on Solana. And so, man, gaming on Solana, if you're going to Accelerate in New York City in May, come check us out as well. If you're going to be in Abu Dhabi in December at Breakpoint, come check us out as well. Or if you want to just join a Twitter space that we have every Tuesday, come join as well.
Yeah, I hope to be at both of those. Hope to meet you there. And one part about that authenticity as well, that if that's coming from your side, it comes out through the users as well. And you see the genuine excitement for a lot of these new protocols, new things that are coming out, and it's nobody's getting paid to say all that stuff, right? People are genuinely happy to use a lot of these protocols, and especially with games, I can only see this is just going to be huge. I see a lot of potential in it, and I mean there's always been potential there, but to see these things actually start coming out is awesome. So I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a big accelerator for Solana. I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to bring people to Solana, but also just going to be something that's fun to do, something that people want to do, and I think it's great.
Yeah, man. No, really, really excited, and the future is really bright for all of us. I think that those that have weathered the storm, and I say weathered the storm very, very loudly because it has been a very, turbulent storm to be in, especially building in Web3, from 4 years ago where China bans crypto, the crypto goes down to a president now having a meme coin. I mean, we've seen it all. At this point, it's a market that the volatility is something that we harp on, that it's extreme volatile, but it's also, extreme volatile to those that are building here. So, shout out to everybody that's still building, shout out to everybody that's still listening, shout out to everyone that's still here, right? Because man, we need a badge of honor as well to be yeah, we're made out of steel.
Yeah, well said. I mean, it hasn't been easy to weather the whole storms all the way through, but I feel no matter what happens, it's the community's always been there, everyone's always been together, and it's you know what? Oh, I'm not leaving,
I'm never leaving.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, hey, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Look forward to seeing this coming out. We'll definitely look at getting a pass on Magic Eden. Definitely try a few of these out, and hopefully I can meet up with you at Accelerate.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll catch you there, and make sure you catch me because we are actually going to be creating like crazy content that whole week. We have a whole camera crew. We have like everything set. I don't even know how much alpha I could leak actually because I'm just realizing what I'm about to say. But I'll just say we're going to be creating a lot of content. So grab me, and yeah, we'll have some fun.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Tom. Take care, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Ciao.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Solana Weekly. Once again, this is Thomas Bahamas, and I have one final ask for you guys. If you could, please subscribe on whatever player you're listening to. You could leave a review. That would be amazing. If you want to shield me your bags, work for them. But yeah, really appreciate it. And as always, this is not financial advice, but I want you guys to accelerate, move forward, and let's get this bag. I'll catch you guys next week.